Any good stories from the road?
Pipe up.
I wish we'd gotten to see a little bit more out of our punter.
I'm starting to puke.
It makes my stomach hurt.
I thought he was going to die.
I'm starting to throw up in my mouth a little bit.
He's on the probiotics.
Is Georgia playing the 1985 Bears this weekend or what?
A lot of Todd talk.
Rat poison proof.
They're mongoose.
We will not be hunted at the University of Georgia. I can promise you that. The hunting that we do will be done from us going the other direction.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Georgia Show. I'm Wes. This is Jake Rowe. I know y'all have been in here before. Some of you are new. Go ahead and hit subscribe if you are a newcomer, and welcome to the comment section. It's National Championship Week for the Dogs, so we're going to bring in a damn good dog that y'all probably know. Her name is Elle, Duncan from ESPN. She's already barking. She's ready to go. Elle, I just want to say thanks for coming on. A surprise for our viewers. I didn't really tip anybody off about that. But I've been impressed, Elle, with you come out of the gate this season. You're on Paul Feinbaum, and you have your hot take about Stetson. And look, this is a hot take industry. But a lot of people don't own up when they have a cold take. And you've done that. I tip my cap to you.
Listen, first of all, gentlemen, thank you for having me on the show. Big fan. I feel like if you are going to be very loud and wrong, you have to match that same energy on your contrition tour. It wasn't really a hot take. I think what I'm most annoyed with myself by is that I try my best, I really do, despite how extra I am, to not be inflammatory for the sake of being inflammatory. I think there's a lot of that in our industry, right, where people don't really feel a certain way, but they pretend to sort of create theater. While I do ham it up a little bit on Paul Feinbaum, I meant it when it was just sort of I didn't mean to be as nasty as I was, but I think I said it today on Paul. I just felt like, and I don't think I'm the only one. I'm just the most vocal one, that a lot of the success of Georgia last year was really wrapped up with their defense. And I felt like, in the same way, as I said today on Paul's show, that I am a Broncos fan, that year that they won the Super Bowl in 2016, we all know it wasn't because of Peyton. And I love Peyton, but I also wanted Peyton to retire that year because I felt like if given about another 7 to 10 minutes in that game, he would have tried to give it away, right? So it was more coming from a place of thank you so much, Stetson, but I don't want to see you do this again against a potential Bama. I felt like, because we all just sort of assume Bama will be there in the end, that if Bama had to face Stetson again, they would have figured him out and it wouldn't go well. And I was incredibly wrong. Stetson earned the benefit of the doubt last year for what he did in the national title run. And instead of sort of being an appreciative fan and enjoying the journey and just being glad that for the first time in my life, I watched the Dogs win a national championship, I was a horrible fan. I was a fatalist. I was Chicken Little, and it was stupid. So I'm glad to call myself a big fat L on anyone that will allow me to say that. And I said that at the time, if I'm wrong, and I hope I am, I will fall on the sword and take my medicine. So here's me taking my medicine, boys.
Well, Elle, as a Georgia grad and also a Broncos fan, and that's
it's random. I know.
I know where you're coming from, and I actually had, I cover the team day to day, and it's been a long time, so I don't really get fired up one way or the other about anything anymore. But I was more worried about it from Stetson's point of view, kind of all right, dude, this is a really beautiful horse and a really big sunset, and we're all going to watch you just ride off into it.
Right.
And, he didn't. And I was like, there's no way you're going to go back to back. I mean, come on.
Yes.
What in the world?
Yes.
Nobody goes back to back. And then you are. And I don't get the luxury of well, first of all, I haven't been on that Paul Feinbaum, kind of truth serum, whatever they stab you with on there to get people to say stuff. I don't know if it's just an environment or what, but everybody gets a little jazzed on Paul. And so I had the benefit of not doing that. But I don't think it was that crazy of a take. The only time I really was like, oh no, I think she stepped in it here, was with the Anthony Richardson thing earlier this year. When I think you said you'd rather have Anthony Richardson, maybe down the road. I don't think Anthony Richardson right now Or maybe you said one of them.
I'm like, did I say that? No, I
maybe
didn't say that.
You just thought you liked him more because he was more talented, that he had more ceiling. I can't remember what it was. It was early. But either way, like Wes said, you're
Jake, like, listen, Jake,
you've got more to you than most.
I've had so many mea culpas. I don't remember. I say a lot of things. I might have, after those first couple of weeks, fall in love with Anthony Richardson like everybody else did, and then come to my senses a little bit. Because again, Georgia is about the team, right? And we know that. It's the same way that if Kirby is sort of building this legacy and building this dynasty in essentially the same vision that Nick Saban did with Alabama, sort of the one thing, the pitfall for Nick Saban is that he cannot cure the quarterback position, right? Or at least for many years. It was as if like he sort of acquiesced and said, I'm just going to win all these national championships with my defense and that's going to be fine. And it felt like, for me, to your point, Jake, like, this is the best story, Stetson. Like, everyone was down on you, including your own team. Like, let's not forget that. Georgia didn't choose him either. They didn't want him to be their guy.
Kirby said that.
He said that, right? So, like, instead of just sort of, like, you got the ultimate last laugh, ride into the sunset. Like, this is a storybook ending for you. It will never be better right now. It will never be better than it is right now. And that's how I felt. But we were wrong, because even if they don't repeat, which I'm hoping that they will do, but even if they don't repeat, Stetson was so much more integral. And I think despite having arguably his worst game of the season in the Peach Bowl, I don't think anybody could watch this year and not say, like, Stetson in many instances was the reason that we won. And that was always my critique of him, is that I felt like he was complementary to what they were doing, but that they were not winning because of him. They were winning because of the defense. So I think he sort of turned us on our head a little bit there. Listen, It's not the worst take I've ever had. It will not be the last bad take that I've ever had. It just, I don't think, I've been talking to David Pollack about this. I talked to him about this a few months ago. And I was like, please tell me why I'm wrong, right? This is before he started going on a tear and a run. And because, again, to me, I don't give a damn if you beat Vanderbilt. That's not what this is about, right? Like, you got to beat Bama or the big games, the LSUs of the world. And he said, I think the thing is that it's just hard for some people to come to terms with the fact that Georgia didn't choose them. And so if Georgia didn't choose them, then there's something they must know. And if they know something, then how can I just give in to the fact that maybe this quarterback did just really improve and get better? And he did. So we were wrong. At least I was.
So he has the Peach Bowl where he starts off red hot and then cools off and then puts the game on his back. And that's kind of what the argument is, you know, he had moments this year where he wasn't the best, but he's played the best in the best games. And he had, you just can't figure him out. You can't put this guy in a box, right? I mean, statistically, his best game was the Peach Bowl, but he also makes some of his most head scratching mistakes.
Correct.
Which is kind of the whole story on Stetson Bennett's career in a nutshell. What were you thinking watching Stetson's game unfold? Because I know our message board was freaking out thinking this was probably going to be his last game for a little bit. And then he wasn't really delivering until he did, to Arian Smith and to Kieris Jackson on that game winning drive, which needs to be set to the theme song of Titanic in perpetuity because it's just so beautiful. And then he throws it to A.D. Mitchell for the game winner. What were you thinking as all that unfolded?
So what's funny, Wes, is that because, again, I spent so much of last year sort of gripping and waiting for Stetson to F up, I had like a huge sense of calm. I was actually much more concerned with our defense, who could suddenly not stop CJ Stroud, who decided to become Mike Vick for some random reason in the Peach Bowl. I was like, when did this happen? And I thought that Stetson was playing hero ball. And I think that was what was encouraging to me, was that I saw Stetson in the beginning of the game, to your point, like do really well, execute to perfection, you know, be accurate, like sort of we expect him to be. In the middle, it felt like he was playing hero ball. It felt like he recognized, oh, like this defense is going to give up some points and now we got to keep up and I'm going to just do too much. And I think that's always sort of been Stetson's thing, is that he tries to do a little bit too much. But I did not think like to myself, if this comes down to the end, Stetson won't be able to figure a way out to do it. I was actually much more concerned with, if they do score here, and I believe that they can, is it too much time and will the defense let them move right down the field, which essentially is exactly what they did. So I was actually like eerily calm when it came to Stetson. I found his play to, again, not be great, but I did not find him to have done anything that was so egregious that you would look back on this either way and go, but I have huge concerns in the national championship. Like, I think that what Kirby has built, what Kirby's doing so well, is despite the fact that statistically it was one of his best games, and despite the fact that like now you're headed to a second straight national title, the first thing he wanted to do was like criticize Stetson and be like, if he plays like that again, we're not going to win the national championship. And I just think that Stetson is, from the people I know that are sort of behind the scenes, that work with UGA, that know Stetson, while he is incredibly humble in front of the camera, they're like, he is really motivated by the amount of people that just for no reason at all have decided to make him a punching bag. And it very much motivates him. And so I hope that would kick in. I hope that the guy who we saw at the SEC championship last year, and even the guy that we saw for many parts of the national championship, right, before he did what? He closed the game. He's become the best closer, I think, in college football. I just thought that like somewhere inside that would kick in and he'd be like, no, I'm not doing this again. Like, I'm not going to leave any doubt. And he didn't.
So last one before we let you go. This isn't all about Stetson. You said you're still a fatalist. And I'm not going to lie. I don't know if the people watching this are going to enjoy this take from me right now, but I'm just being honest. I just don't have a good gut feeling about this game. And maybe something will change between now and TCU. Maybe I just have too much Munson in me. But what are you thinking about this TCU matchup, Elle, and how are you going to take it all in? Are you going out to the game? I know you're in Indy for the last one. How are you looking ahead and looking forward to the Dogs versus the Frogs?
Yeah, I'm definitely going. I will be there. I'm very excited. I had to run it back again. I'm superstitious as well. So I felt like, well, I was there last year. So like I have to go this year or they won't win. Because, it's all about me. I'm a narcissist. Okay. US, and I was super concerned after the LSU game. I was concerned during the game. I'm like, what happened to this defense? This is suddenly giving up 500 yards a game. Like, what is happening? But I went back and watched the national championship or the Peach Bowl, as I'm sure
it felt like the national championship.
It did feel like the Natty, right? That's how many years I lost of my life watching it. There was so many uncharacteristic mistakes for Michigan. Like, they spotted TCU at least 20 points and potentially 28 points in the first half alone. I think that what happened with Ohio State is that I sort of hinted on that. They were very much prepared for a different sort of plan for Ohio State. I think they were planned for those receivers. They were planning for CJ Stroud to stay in the pocket, which is what he does. Like, all the criticism of CJ Stroud has been that he does not move, that he very much sticks to the system, that he won't ad-lib, that he won't go out there and do, really anything to sort of extend the play beyond what's called. And he flipped it on his head. He had the absolute game of his life. They were not ready for what Ohio State did, because that's just not what CJ Stroud does and what really Ohio State does either. So I do think that with TCU coming, they know what TCU does, right? Like, Max Duggan's going to run. I think like a huge part of this is whether Kendre Miller's going to play or not. If they don't have their running back, they're going to have to throw more. I'm incredibly concerned with Quentin Johnson. The dude is averaging 150 yards a game in the last two games, which is sort of nuts. But I just feel like what TCU does, sort of Georgia will be able to plan and prepare for that. I'm concerned if, Wes, this is a close game in the fourth quarter, because I don't think we're going to cover. Like, this spread is insane. And I'm so pissed that Vegas did this. Like, why would you make them the underfrogs, the biggest underdog of all time in national championship history? It's so stupid. And I hate to steal from Nick Saban, but it's rat poison. However, this team has made a whole entire season on adversity and finding a way to win. And so if it is tight, they have the confidence that they won't give up. We need to steal all of their confidence and put our foots on their neck immediately. That's what worries me about TCU. Despite the fact they've never been on a platform this big, and they just have been dealing with adversity a lot. I actually think, guys, that it helps Georgia tremendously that they had to overcome 2 14-point deficits, that this was in no way a gimme. I think it was good for them that they had to play a game from behind, because they hadn't all year long. So, long story long, I'm not as concerned as you, Wes.
Okay.
I do think that it is your PTSD and your conditioning from being a Georgia fan that tells you we can't have nice things, and we especially can't have nice things 2 years in a row. But I think it's ours to lose, Wes.
It's the back-to-back thing. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
At this point, Vegas is going to take a bath if Georgia doesn't cover in this game, because TCU, the public money, 93% of the money right now is on TCU to cover that spread.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's got
That's a number, man.
Everything that's normally in play for, and listen, this has no bearing on anything. I'm just saying it's a forecast, I guess. Every indication of a sucker bet or a sucker line is in place right now. I mean, they're not moving it. It's only moved a point. All the money's coming in. It's almost like they're getting what they want. They made a lot of money off Georgia, Ohio State, because everybody was on Ohio State, or so many people were on Ohio State to money line. So many people were on Georgia to cover. Neither one of those things happened. Vegas just raped them in. So we'll see what happens in this one, but it's got every indication of a sucker line. So I'm interested.
Are you as nervous, Jake, as Wes seems to be, or what?
Jake doesn't get nervous.
Wes is kind of our resident fan. Listen, I did go to Georgia. Okay, Wes gets to let his fan flag hang out a little bit more. I'm not much of one anymore. Just having to be in press box after press box. I got like that Pavlov's. I got the rubber band on the wrist over and over and over again. Not that it's been very long. But I do think Georgia's going to win, and I would probably pick them to cover.
Wow.
Right. I mean, what's the line out right now? Is it still at 12.5?
12.5, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Your lips to the football god's ears. Let's go.
You guys are making me feel better. I appreciate it, Elle.
Thank you guys.
Best
so
of luck
much.
out there in LA. Have fun. Go Dogs, go Broncos.
We'll see you out there.
Well, no, not the we didn't have to go.
We don't have to bring them up.
They're not a real team yet. So go Dogs, and I'll see you out there, Dog fans. And by the way, I don't give a damn what SoFi says. We'll find a place to tailgate.
Yeah.
Let's go, Dogs. Hur, hur. I want grown men barking at children in LA. That's what I want. The energy I'm bringing. Let's go, Dogs. Let's win.
See you, Elle. All right. Elle Duncan.
Barking at children. There we go.
Yeah. Look, I knew that was going to be a controversial addition to the show, but I've been talking to people, celebrity guests, I guess, media guests all year on game weeks, and Elle's been on my list since the beginning of the year. And with Stetson's story coming full circle, I thought it made sense to have her on. So y'all might not like it, you might like it, but can't talk trash about Elle while she's on the show. That's not cool either.
I wish we had a breaking news like to come in here. Georgia's beating Auburn, the Hoop Dogs.
That's right.
Mike White's Hoop Dogs have beaten Auburn, I believe, by 10. I want to say it was, 84-74? Or
76-64, the final.
Okay. I was trying to peek at it over here. Man, Georgia held them at arm's length for basically the entire, last 25 to 30 minutes of that game. Big win there because they beat a good basketball team. Obviously at home, Auburn doesn't normally play Georgia very well in Stegeman Coliseum, but big win for Georgia.
We need to give. Hey, what's up, Jake Roos?
Oh, just in time.
Man, that was a tight shot there when you first came in.
Whoa!
I'm really not sure what's going on with that, man.
Yeah.
We need to give Mike White's dogs a nickname. What would we call them? The Wonder Dog. That's taken. The Wonder Dogs is taken.
How do you say Perro? How do you say dog in Spanish? Is it Perro?
Hello, yeah.
The White Dogs.
Perros
Blancos.
Los Perros Blancos.
I like that.
I like that too. Welcome in, Jake Roos. What you been up to?
Oh man, just sat down, having a cold one and joining you guys, man.
Love that evergreen content from Jake Roos right there. So yeah, we just had Elle Duncan on the show. Jake Roos, you stepped right in and replaced her. I appreciate that. I know there's a lot of Under Armour chatter that we need to get to, and I know you got us covered on that. But let's start with the Dogs and the Frogs, guys. And we are, we're past the Ohio State game. We're past that. The emotions of it. I've rewatched the game several times. It's fun. It's a fun rewatch. But for Georgia, you got to start talking about the Frogs. And I know that Georgia already is. And I just said it, Roos, before you came on. I've got a weird gut feeling about this one. I don't feel good about it, man. I don't know what it is.
See, I'm trending kind of in a similar direction, but it's because I do feel so good about it, and that makes me start to doubt myself when that happens.
What's happening here? I'm going to go ahead and tell both of you. What's happening right here is going to rip a hole in the freaking universe, because you got Wes right here who probably needs to fade himself because that served him so well late in the season when he's picking games, and we got you over here. I don't know what works for you when picking games.
Nothing. Nothing. We learned that this season. If you looked at my record, nothing helped me.
You would have been better off. You would have been better off this season just not surrendering answers to the test.
No question. Absolutely.
SAT it, baby.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I think it's part of the actually learning about them and seeing that every game they needed to come back, they did.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing of if they're still hanging around, you know that they're still dangerous. Those little lizards, because that's what horned frogs really are. Someone in the comments educated me. Those little lizards can still bite you.
I said the same thing. To me, especially when I think of Max Duggan, man, he's like a vampire. You got to put a stake through his heart, and you got to finish this thing out. You cannot let these dudes hang around because they're going to be dangerous if you do. So you got to break their will. You got to do it quick, and you got to just keep the throttle down. I mean, this isn't a game that Georgia can get up and say, okay, we respect this team, so we're going to, just get down here and ground it and pound it. They can score too fast. So you have got to just beat the living daylights out of them in order to, if you wanted to win this game, at least in my opinion. I think that I have a lot of respect for TCU. I think TCU is a great team. Kind of got that team of destiny feel to them, no question about that. But I think that they have a chance. Georgia has a chance if they come out and play their A game to impose their will early and really kind of break their hearts and rip their hearts out.
They got experience too, and that goes so far in college sports specifically. You have an experienced team. I know this may be a stretch to y'all, but I covered that Mercer basketball team that upset Duke, and the whole team was seniors. I mean, 2 deep seniors. And I don't know if TCU's got it like that, but I know that when you have experience, look at Stetson, man. You got experience. Sometimes that outweighs talent. And then the other thing, Jake Rowe, maybe you can give us a little bit of an update on this, is Georgia's health coming into this.
Well, I think Georgia's kind of, in some ways, old as hell, too. I mean, you look at every offensive lineman's redshirted. Every I know they lost so much off last year's team, but you got a third-year player here, a fourth-year player here, a fifth-year player here, a sixth-year player. Georgia's got a couple of 6-year guys in Robert Beal and Stetson Bennett. There may even be another one. I can't remember, but it seems like there is. But
Chris is close, isn't he?
Yeah, he's fifth. He's a fifth-year guy. But yeah, Georgia's a very old team as well. Very veteran team. And that's an interesting dynamic of this game. One thing I pointed to, I did an interview with a Tulsa radio station today, and those guys are a blast, by the way. They were trying their best to bait me into drug jokes for Eric Ainge, I swear to God. And finally, I gave him one. I said he doesn't need to be calling a guy who kept his nose clean, no pun intended. Bennett. I do think that, I was talking to them. I said, I think, listen, if Georgia blows TCU out, like if Georgia just jumps all over them, I still think we're going to get a beautiful game. I still think we're going to get a very hard-fought, rocky, one. They're not going to stop punching. They're going to hit explosive plays. I think it'll be maybe like the SEC championship game, where LSU just kind of kept coming and kept coming and kept coming, and that's how it was. So I like Georgia to win this game, and I think Georgia's going to be fine on the health front. I'm still not super optimistic about Darnell Washington, although per our Palmer Toms. Okay?
Palmer Toms had an update from the basketball game.
Palmer Toms had an update from the basketball game. He says Darnell Washington, no boot, no crutches, walking around, no limp. I think, my sources tell me Palmer got some cones and found a small football, took a small football from a child, and went and, had Darnell hit.
He set up some empty popcorn bags, said, weave through these.
I do my high school offensive line coaching. Hey, come on now.
How much would you pay to watch Palmer Toms try to tell Darnell Washington to do anything?
I don't know. Probably not a lot because I don't want Palmer to die.
All right. So you're not feeling not.
No, I mean,
100% on Darnell.
Great about Darnell playing, but you know, that update kind of, you know, a little bit more optimistic there. I mean, I was told from the jump that these injuries, these types of injuries, it's just how do you respond to treatment? I mean, you know, some of these guys, you know, they get treatment however many hours, for every 4 hours, every 6, 12, whatever. Some guys, like 2 days, it's like they're a new man and they're able to get it going. And some guys, it takes a little longer. And the big thing for Darnell is, no, he doesn't need a ton of reps because he's played so much football, but Georgia's going to want him to get back on the practice field this week. So it's not like, hey, he's healthy on Saturday. He's healthy enough to go on Saturday. He's going to go. He probably will, but he won't be very effective and he won't do a lot. If he's able to practice, let's see, today's Monday of game week, right? Like today, if today were a normal game week, today
Bloody Tuesday is tomorrow, even though it's Thursday.
Yeah. So if I would say he probably needs to be out there doing what they're doing on Saturday. And, you know, we'll get to see them probably do yoga on Saturday. You know, we're flying out to LA.
You sound a little bitter.
Yoga. No, it's fine. I mean, whatever. They're not going to let us see anything one way or the other. I'd almost rather, you know, at least they get to see funny pictures of Kirby, you know, looking like, you know, me wallowing around in the yard with my kids, you know, except I'm about 40 pounds heavier. But, you know, it's just, I mean, they're going to want him to be back on Thursday. They're going to want him to be back in practice some. You know, I think Warren McClendon's going to have a better chance to play. I think he was available in the SEC. I'm not the SEC, but the Peach Bowl. And then, you know, Ladd McConkey's going to play. I mean, how effective is he going to be? I mean, I went back and watched that game from the all-22 angle, and I came away thinking I lied on Twitter because I thought I had Ladd McConkey as kind of like a half player. I said Georgia was out without 3.5 starters. I think more like 3.8, 3.85. You know, I think Ladd's closer to 100%, especially early in that game than we give him credit for. He had a couple of really explosive, you know, kind of, you know, like Lee Corso, you know, he had some of those like routes where he got open and, you know, Stetson didn't see him. It was kind of during the Stetson funk. But yeah, I think Ladd's going to be able to help Georgia in this game too. So we'll see what Darnell's got going, and that's the big one. Obviously, also Chaz Chambliss, feeling more confident by the day that Chaz Chambliss is going to be able to go. You know, he's probably going to have a little soreness, but I think he can give Georgia some valuable first and second down snaps.
Yeah, that's surprising because after the game, I would have thought it was reversed.
Yeah.
That Chaz had like no shot.
Yeah, I talked to a couple people after the game, and I talked to Chaz himself. Did not look all that enthusiastic. I mean, like he was worried. And there was some – from those I talked to, I mean, and listen, I'm sorry if you're a trainer for Georgia and you're listening to this and this is wrong information, but per those I talked to, there was some worry that might be a serious one.
Yeah. Breaking T is serious. It's as serious as it gets. And that's a serious break in the action.
Oh, hey, we got to talk to my man UGA boy down here when we get done with this. I got
we will.
With that guy.
We'll talk to UGA boy. They need to make a T-shirt about Keely Ringo because I think that Jake Rowe would buy it. Jake Rowe would buy 5 of them and wear them Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Breaking T, there's a link to the merch and apparel shop. That is the official Dogs apparel shop of DawgsHQ. We got all the NIL endorsement deal opportunities for these players that Breaking T's partnered with: Chris Smith, Darnell Washington, Brock Bowers, and Stetson Bennett. We know it's Stetson's last game, so get one of those historic Bennett T-shirts, potentially Darnell Washington's last game and Chris Smith's as well. Head on over to BreakingT.com. All right, get to it, Jake. What's UGA boy saying?
All right, Ringo. He says Keely Ringo's got to be better, or he was not terrible versus Ohio State, my man. Keely Ringo was targeted 13 times in the game. The ball was thrown his way 13 times on the guy he was covering. That guy caught 6 of those passes for, I want to say, what was it? I think it was like 60-something yards. I actually had him at 12. Brent Rollins, who does some work with Pro Football Focus and works for UGAsports.com, he had him at 13. I'll go with Brent just because I probably did miss a target or reclassify one, but it's 12 or 13 targets, 6 passes. So 50% or a little less than 50%. and 60-something yards. Guys, when he was targeted, when another guy was targeted in coverage, C.J. Stroud went, I want to say it was 19 of 20, 18 of 19. And then there were a couple of throwaways, and there was one, there was another one that I can't remember what it was. But ultimately, Keely Ringo was the best coverage guy on the field for Georgia on Saturday, statistically speaking. Now, I mean, he can be better. He can tackle better. But, I mean, the guy came from a blitz all the way down to force a fumble. He had 2 big coverage plays there at the end of the game, okay? One of those was almost a pick whenever he ran a slant route better than the receiver did. And the other one, he just blanketed his guy, and then Stroud had to throw it away. And I know for a fact that I want to say 57 of the yards he gave up on Saturday were when the quarterback had more than 5 seconds to throw the football. That was the 16-yard touchdown to Marvin Harrison. And then there was a deep over route to Fleming, where he was able to kind of come back to the ball, and it went for 25 yards or 41 yards or something like that. But, yeah, I mean, a large portion of the yards he gave up were when the quarterback had an abundance of time to throw. You can't cover for that long. And, I don't think anybody just played super well. Nobody really came up and made a play but Ringo, and I guess Javon Bullard there on the blitz. But ultimately, Ringo was the least of Georgia's worries against Ohio State. Georgia's problem was they could not get C.J. Stroud on the ground in some situations where he really made them pay. He threw 2 touchdowns where he had the ball for over 6 seconds.
All right.
And that's going to hurt you.
So that takes me to the next thing I was going to ask you about tonight. Stetson's got to fix his game. We all know that. And I think that we believe that he can do that because we saw him do it in the fourth quarter. The defense is, I think, a huge concern right now, given the amount of points, the amount of yards they've given up in the last 2 games, and the pass rush, which wasn't really finding ways to get a ton of sacks until that Tennessee game. They just erupted. But it's been an issue this year. They haven't been able to do it. Now you got depth concerns. I don't think that the pass rush was as big of a black eye. I'm not saying it wasn't a problem. I'm not saying they could have been more effective. I think Stroud just turned his game up to another level. But Ohio State gave up how many sacks in the game? Was it 4?
Yeah, 4.
And I think they'd given up 8 all year, if I'm not mistaken. TCU's
like
given up like 20-something. Maybe it was Georgia that had given up 8, and Ohio State had given up something like 12. Either way, Ohio State
hadn't given up many. I don't know what it was in that game, but it wasn't many.
So when you consider that, and I know you're saying going into the game, well, they're playing against Big Ten competition and Georgia should be better. I wouldn't disagree with that. But Georgia did get after them, and it's hard to cover anybody for that long, like you're saying. Now, the issue going into TCU is that could still be a problem. I just don't know that TCU has – I know they don't have as many 4 or 5-star wide receivers as Ohio State does to run around like that.
They don't have
They don't have an offensive line either, I don't think.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's from a talent perspective, Ohio State was easily the most comparable team Georgia's faced all year in terms of 4 or 5-star guys that everybody in the world would have taken. TCU has a very solid team with a lot of really good players, but they weren't exactly the guys that people were clamoring on. They're guys who rely a lot more on 3 and low 4 stars with good evaluations. And it's successful. There's no question. I'm not knocking those guys. I'm not saying they're not talented, but from a pure, what we're projecting in terms of NFL success, Ohio State's a different level than what they're going to face this Monday on TCU.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Maybe it just isn't logical for me to be as worried as I am about TCU. But Sonny Dykes just scares the hell out of me, man. He looks like he's angry. He's angry all the time, and he's got a chip on his shoulder. And I think he's got his guys ready to go.
I've pinpointed it. I've nailed it. I've got it figured out. Sonny Dykes looks like an owl. He looks like an owl, and there's some DNA, there's some bird of prey DNA in that man, and that man can never be counted out. The man can never be counted out. Because it's just in there, and I can't wait to talk to him. I can't wait to. I've got a little bit of a fanboy thing going on for Sonny Dykes, and man, I love this TCU team. The whole Hypnotoads thing is one of the best things that has come through college football ever. Okay, like in my lifetime. And then, I mean, it's right there on par with something nobody really remembers probably, and that's the Tud Gurley.
Tud.
Yeah, with Tud and Hutsin. Those were great. So, I mean, I love to laugh. They've made me laugh all year. They've been awesome all year. I just think Georgia played like crap, front to back, like made a lot of mistakes against Ohio State, and I think you'll see kind of a cleaner, more focused deal. I think Georgia does really well with these business trips, where they're going to get there later. They're going to leave, I think, Friday around noon. Kind of heading to Athens or somewhere in that. I don't know, maybe around 3:00. I can't even remember, but whatever it is, they're going to head that way fairly early on Friday. Sorry, they're going to head that way around Friday. And they're going to get in soon, and they're going to have a chance to kind of get their clocks right. But it's not going to be like visiting this place and visiting that place and Battle of Bowl Week and all that stuff. It's a championship game.
Sorry, I'm cracking up about our comments. Kirby's Belt, which is a great name, says that Sonny Dykes looks like a version of Sam Pittman. I guess that's like the Bizarro World episode of Seinfeld.
Sam Pittman, owl.
Sam Pittman looks like the Washington Commanders' new mascot. I don't know if you've seen that guy.
That whatever that owl is with the little horns coming off, like the little, the
horned owl.
Yeah, the barn owl or whatever the heck that thing is. That's what he looks like.
But then Tomahawk Dog says, anyone else see Cat in the Hat when looking at Todd Monken? And I kind of do. Now that you said it, I see it. Just blew my mind, man.
I want to put a striped hat on that man so bad. I wonder if I can find one out in LA. Hey, Coach Monken, just real quick, humor me.
He'd probably do it. He'd just cuss the whole time.
He'd probably slap the taste out of my mouth.
Shout out to UGA boy over in the comments, Ro. He said, "Hey, your points were very fair." He apologized. He said,
"Hey, UGA boys, I don't even know him, but that's a good dude right there." He Elle Duncan did in the comments in a matter of seconds. He's a good dude.
Yeah, Elle Duncan going down in the Hall of Fame as one of our guests on the Georgia show in short order. Jake Roos, tell us about the Under Armour All-American Game Bowl spectacular week and a half. What's going on out there?
Yeah, Under Armour just wrapped up yesterday. Big game for them. Several Georgia commits in that one. Ton of guys. The real standout from the week, made the top performers of the week list. That was Raylan Wilson, Georgia's number 1 rated linebacker. Number 2, I think, in the nation overall when you're looking at On3's rankings. Came in looking fantastic. Sounds like he's in shape to get this thing popping immediately when he returns to campus. He's already been there, but when he gets back to campus, it sounds like he's ready to throw himself in the mix physically. Sounds like he was doing it all across the field. And Charles Power was even quick to point out that this is not a great setting for linebackers necessarily. But he said, he was still able to impress. He was cutting in on defenses. He was all over the place. It was very reminiscent of what we've heard a lot in Georgia's linebacker recruiting over the last couple of years in terms of guys just playing sideline to sideline, able to cover a ton of ground. Raylan Wilson kind of looks like that next dude for Georgia. And I've heard some whispers that that there may be some early optimism for him in Athens as well. And then it sounds like moving into San Antonio out there in the Army game, the Adidas All-American game. I'm sorry, I'm still stuck in the old ways.
Yeah, I've lost track. I'm not going to lie to you.
Adidas All-American game now. But
this is Jordan Hall on the screen, by the way. Our guy Jeremy Johnson shot this.
Day 2 top performer for the East. I think he was number 3 performer in the East yesterday. Guy is having himself a time out there. Number 29 prospect in the nation right now. I think he's going to push for 5-star status after this performance. And it sounds like Monroe Freeling also got a chance to give himself that extra bump as well. He's been teetering right on the line. I think that it sounds like based on these couple of days' performance, they've got a chance to really elevate their stock, push Georgia even further in this class.
And you got Pierce Erlin also that was a top 5 performer from yesterday. So Georgia had 3 of the top 5 performers from the East.
This is Freeling right here on the video.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's good returns, especially you love to hear that for Spurlin because he dealt with injury in his senior year. So you wondered how was he going to come back? Was he going to be in shape? Was he going to have some rust? Sounds like he picked up right where he left off and is having himself a great week already. That's huge for Georgia. And also too on the recruiting front, go over and check out the RPM over on Deuce Robinson. Things moving Georgia's way quickly. And if you've been following the dog walk over at DawgsHQ, I've been telling you that for some time since that visit he took back in the fall. It looked like he's got a real chance. It looks like he's got a real chance to maybe end up in red and black when this is all said and done. The feelings are very, very positive around Deuce Robinson.
The only thing Georgia's got to worry about with Deuce Robinson is if Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith show up and kill him. Okay,
that's a concern for all of us.
He's on the radar. That man is an alien. There's a little tiny alien up in his head driving that machine. That is an alien of a human.
You said that about Nicholas Harbor too.
Yeah, he's there too. I mean, I'm going to see some. They're coming to get him.
Jake Rowe texted me that this morning, the video of Nicholas Harbor running in I think it was Under Armour, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, what is this? Like, what is this? Is this a human being?
Is this thing street legal?
Yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely. So, man, these kids are freaks. They're turning into freaks, especially those big pass catchers. Deuce Robinson looks as good as anybody we've seen at the tight end position in years. And I was told probably about a year ago at this point that he has been and was Georgia's number one priority at the tight end position, probably in the pass catcher position, period. They said, I heard the word was forget the rankings, forget what anybody says. Deuce Robinson is that dude. He's proven it over and over again. It sounds like Georgia in a very strong spot ahead of February.
And then you got Monroe Freeling, who is, you would talk about freaks, right? He's made out of brains, sirloin, and rubber bands. That's just.
Sounds like my dinner.
I've never seen a kid I've rarely seen kids that bend like that. I saw Laramie Tunsil bend like that. Now, one thing Laramie had that Freeling doesn't have is Laramie bent like that at 315 pounds. Monroe Freeling's not quite there yet. He's still a little on the slimmer side, probably like 295, 290.
Yep.
And he put on 20 and bend like that. But I think Monroe Freeling might be on the Andrew Thomas plan.
He's one of the most yoga heavy guys.
Right? Yeah, I think his mother's
his mom's a teacher, so
master yogi.
That
Was that her at practice?
Bodes well.
All right. You see the banner at the bottom of the screen if you're watching on YouTube. It is no longer $10 until September. That's my mistake. But we still encourage you to sign up for a premium membership over at DawgsHQ.com. And before we get to our dog stocks, our chopping wood, dang it. It's my turn to do it tonight.
I'm trying my best not to ask. I literally asked every.
It's a chopping wood Wednesday.
Chevron to pop up on the bottom,
and a dog stock Sunday. All right, on Saturday, if I can get my days of the week right, teaching my 2-year-old daughter, and apparently it's not sinking in with me. We did a promotion on our Twitter account and said if you prove that you subscribe to DawgsHQ on YouTube, we would comp you a free year of a premium membership. Speaking of premium memberships. So today I ran a randomized thing on random.org, and that is not a dating site. That is a randomizer that selects a name, and I just put all the Twitter names in for the people that signed up and said, hey, we are subscribers of your site. And I obviously struggled for a minute. I wasn't sure if I was doing the right thing, but I hit the button. The number one answer, our winner, is macaroni and cheese. I think that's what it says. Yeah, macaroni cheese. So congrats to Macaroni Cheese if you're watching tonight. I don't know if you are or not, but I'll get in touch with you about getting your free year of DawgsHQ on the premium board. If you're not macaroni cheese, maybe you're angel hair pasta or something else. I don't know what you are, but you can still sign up. You just didn't win a free membership.
I can't help
like macaroni does.
I can't help but think about what goes well, listen to that, the drum roll, the macaroni. It's almost like what's going on in my head during like the Thanksgiving Day prayer. You know, like it's like I'm sitting there thinking there's a drum roll, like, what am I gonna get first? What am I digging into first?
Papa's been praying for 7 minutes.
Yeah, no, I'm usually going to take like a half a pan of cornbread dressing, some giblet gravy over the top of it, and probably just sit down and eat that whole plate right there just by itself. Maybe roll it up in some little ham taco.
That's a good tactic. That's a good
you
strategy.
Don't get this figure. Hey, listen, I earned this figure, okay?
I told somebody today, I'm glad the holidays are over because I feel like I've been living on ham and liquor for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, sodium and booze right at the top of the food pyramid. All right. I love when the Jakes are on. All right. Chopping wood Wednesday. Here we go. Let's re-rack here. Let's get focused. I'm chopping wood about Stetson Bennett, and there's been some debate. There's been some dialogue on our message board about where Stetson Bennett ranks. Everyone always wants to do the legacy thing while the guy's still playing, and I hate it, and I don't care for it. I want to see what happens when he plays TCU, okay? But I will tell you that if he does win, I do think that Georgia should lean into everything that comes with celebrating this guy as the greatest Bulldog of all time. And Claude Felton's not going to send out an email that says greatest Bulldog and say all that. That's not going to happen. But from a recruiting standpoint, why would you not say, look at what we did with this guy? Here's the Stetson Bennett statue. Oh, we're going to retire Stetson Bennett's 13 jersey. Or let's not retire it. Let's give the number 13 to the best, most honorable walk-on every single year. Lean into this guy's career. Lean into his history. Win or lose on Monday. I guess they're going to win. You guys seem to feel pretty confident about that. If he wins, though, y'all can decide whether or not he's the greatest Bulldog of all time. I'm not going to fault you for saying Herschel. But for me, yeah, call it recency bias. I'm biased because I was alive when I saw it happen. I think you got a really strong case to say that Stetson Bennett was the greatest Bulldog of all time.
I'll tell you what, man, I'd love to see. I've got ideas. The statue's not happening. Okay, if they hadn't done a statue yet for Herschel, they're not going to do one. But
they have a statue of Herschel,
hologram. Huh?
They commissioned a statue of Herschel, and it just moves around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, like, as far as make a statue, whatever. I like the idea of a hologram, okay, on campus. Right. Just just pop it just around places. You don't know where it's set up, okay? Just you may be walking by and zoom, there he is. Hi, guys. What's going on? It's Stetson Bennett. I like that idea. I also like the idea of a mailman mural of him pulling a couple of national championship trophies out of the mail truck and, like, smiling. You know what I'm saying? There are some talented people in Athens. We can get both of these things done. I got a feeling neither one of them will get done. But you better be glad I'm not the mayor of Athens.
Me as if like we're the ones commissioning these things.
No, that's not going to happen. But I'm just talking to the people out there. You people have power, so go use that power and get Stetson recognized. But the hologram idea is awesome. I love it.
That could happen in a few years.
You're sitting at all good doing bombs right there. All of a sudden, bam.
Exactly. Boom. And all you got to do, I mean, it literally is just like a battery powered bar that you just walk around with.
This one pops up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ro, you got it. You want me to take it?
What are we doing?
Chopping wood.
We're still chopping wood?
Yeah, it's one of our turns.
I never knew we started chopping wood. I'll be honest with you.
That was what Wes was chopping about.
That's what I was doing.
Oh, okay. My bad. Yeah,
that's what I was chopping. You didn't see me with my axe just chopping my desk up over here?
Swing that axe. I'm tired. I gotta get some fuel into Huff's barn over here.
All right. Listen, I'm going to go off the Georgia path, and I'm going to say I'm chopping wood tonight to see a lot of people step up for the DeMar Hamlin Chasing M's Foundation. So cool to see that, man. What a situation. I didn't comment on it. I haven't commented on it. There was nothing really for me to add. It was sad. It was devastating. It's hard to watch. everybody knows that. And he's a kid that I remember his name and remember following him back in the day. George never really heavily involved, but you go to these all-star games, you go to these camps, you hear those names all the time. I'm chopping wood, though, on people stepping up and showing that there's a lot of good still in the world, supporting that great foundation for that kid. All well wishes and prayers up to DeMar Hamlin from the DawgsHQ crew. Very, very happy to hear that there's been some positive progress on that front, and just excited for that, man. And then I'm going to flip it over and say I'm also chopping wood on Eric Ainge's comments. Put it on the chopping block, cut it out, man, get rid of it, toss it to the side. It's uncalled for. It's unnecessary. Wes, I think you said it best, a grasp at relevancy. No reason to make those comments. No reason to say those things. Stetson Bennett's not done anything to anybody to prove that he's anything other than the guy that we've seen on the field. Does he come off a little cocky at times? Sure. But I'll tell you what, I might have a little bit of shit in my neck too if people told me that I was too small or never good enough to make it as far as Stetson Bennett has.
Yeah. I went on about it. I did like my own side video about it. We don't need to harp on it too much. Yeah. But Stetson Bennett doesn't need any of us to stand up for him. But at the same time, I don't know. I had an opinion on it, so I shared it.
You know, I got one little nuance I want to throw in here on that. You got Eric Ainge, who had a substance abuse problem, and listen, I'm not trying to beat up on him for that. That happens, but no doubt in my mind that the pressures of the game and the pressures of playing quarterback at a SEC blue blood school at the time, it's probably not anymore. It can get back. I'm not trying to insult Tennessee here. Blue blood contributed to kind of what he dealt with, mental health wise, substance abuse wise, everything like that. To come back and there's a fraternity there. You know, I talked to I've talked to people before about this, that there's a fraternity there about the quarterback position and how hard it is to play and to have the locker room and everything like that. And I just think that's just such a violation there. It's like a violation of bro code or something. Like, that's
a great point, Jake. I haven't thought about that. The QB fraternity, everyone talks about it. You're right.
Yeah. I mean, you know how hard it is to do what he's doing, and he's doing it, and, you know, with a cool story, and he is doing it the right way, and he's keeping his nose clean, and he's staying, you know, on the straight and narrow, and you're going to call him a punk after kind of the stuff that you pulled. I mean, you know, that's hard. And, you know, I don't want to get into, hey, you're a junkie and all that stuff, whatever, man. I'm proud of the guy for beating his addiction. There's too many people who don't until they die. But that just sucked. I'm going to chop wood on our loyal listeners and watchers and subscribers. Guys, like, we have taken off in a way that I don't think it just doesn't happen very often. I don't think. You know, I know that exactly 10 weeks ago, I made a Facebook post and I said, hey, for my friends and family, I said, listen, if you're a Georgia fan and you're on YouTube, give us a shot, hit that subscribe button. And we got a few come in, and then got over 1,000. It slowed down a little bit. And then Wes started working his magic with, you know, some of the stuff that he's doing. And we started really having some fun on these shows. The next thing you know, we're like 3,000 subscribers in 10 weeks. That is astronomical growth. And we're really appreciative of it. We're appreciative that you guys are here with us on this journey with us. It's going to go a long time. We're going to go a long way. So thank you so much for being a part of everything that we're doing. And you can you can look at our channel and look at the, you know, way our videos are being consumed and the number of people in the comments. This is incredible. It's so humbling. And we're just glad that you guys choose us to make us part of your day a couple days a week, because it's real flattering.
Well, and we have the most fun, man, and you guys let us have the fun, and that's the big thing. I mean, I legitimately have a blast. I look forward to doing this show every time I get a chance to do it, because I end up laughing, I end up off screen, I end up making an off-color joke. I mean, I sit here and drink a beer and hang out with my friends, and I enjoy it so much. So thank you to those of you who allow us this platform and give us an opportunity.
Yeah, I appreciate that, guys. Thanks, Jake, and you as well, Jake.
And just so y'all know, just so y'all can really kind of get your opinion straight on Palmer, we told him, we were like, hey, listen, we're going to love on the listeners tonight. We're going to love on them. He goes, I don't want to be on there. I don't like this. I can't tell you, Palmer's an old man. He's like, get off my lawn all the time. No, Palmer's awesome. He's covering the basketball game for us tonight. The biggest hustler in a good way. He hustles a lot. He doesn't take things from people. The best hustler in the business. Nobody works harder. Palmer Thomas.
Palmer's chopping the hardwood tonight. Thanks for that, guys. That's a great message. And we all know, I mean, we don't expect you to only consume DawgsHQ. It'd be really cool if you did. That'd be great. But we do appreciate that we are part of your rotation at the very least.
There are some comments right here real quick. We don't have a separate podcast right now. Right now, this becomes a podcast. What time? When Wes, explain that process on how you can consume this as a podcast.
Yeah. So essentially, as soon as we're done here, I get up, get a cold glass of water, maybe a piece of bread if the wife's left anything for me, some salt, just get to work on it. No, I take the audio from this.
A piece of fish.
Yeah.
Salt, bread, and water. That's so
the whole concept on the podcast is not different content than this. It is for people who can't watch this live. You know, we're at 8:30, parents putting kids to bed, they can't tune in. We get that. Maybe you don't prefer to sit and just watch a YouTube video. Maybe you just want to be, you know, going throughout your workday, you're on your commute, whatever. So I turn audio only from this and put it up on Spotify and on Apple, and it goes up pretty much instantaneously. It takes a few minutes, but yeah, that's how that all works.
Yeah. So
maybe Jake Rowe's face is off-putting too. I don't know.
What'd you say?
So maybe Jake Rowe's face is off-putting too.
It's off-putting, no doubt.
Well, that's Jake Rowe's face is.
That is my least favorite part of this whole show is having to look at myself.
Well, I mean, look, I've been editing my own video for several years now, and I still hate hearing my own voice. It's just a weird.
I love it. I mean, one of these days I'm gonna commission you to read the Bible for me, and I'm just gonna listen to it at night before I go to bed.
The picture of us winning the game versus Ohio State was epic. I showed all my friends after the game.
Oh, Wes. Yeah, the picture of you, Wes, when you were grabbing your head.
Oh, okay. There's a lot of pictures. I couldn't remember.
My favorite part of that whole thing was Harry Dahl.
Harry Dahl squeezed the air out of my lungs. I don't think y'all understand that.
Or Mike Bobo. Or the Mike Bobo part was great too. Fourth quarter.
Yeah. Fourth quarter. It kind of reminded me of the Harrison Ford cameo in Bruno.
Yeah.
He was just like, F off. That's all he said, just fourth quarter, and he kept walking. All right. We've gone long enough, I think. We appreciate y'all. We've said it. You get it, okay? Don't get too used to it. Y'all need to keep earning your keep in the comments section, all right? Thanks for listening to The Georgia Show. Thanks for consuming DawgsHQ, signing up and being a part of our family over there. It certainly helps when the Dogs keep winning ball games. Jake Rowe and Palmer are traveling to LA this weekend. Tomorrow?
San Diego tomorrow.
San Diego tomorrow.
Goes on deck.
So wish them well. If you see them out west, grab a selfie with them and give them a big go Dogs. And we'll be back on Friday, wherever Jake and Palmer are. I think we're planning to go live at some point on Friday afternoon. And then we'll be live again on Monday afternoon before the game. But between all those live appearances, we'll have media availabilities right here on the DawgsHQ YouTube channel and all the written stories that both Jakes and Palmer have leading up to this game. So y'all check all that good material out. We'll let you go and have a great evening. We'll see you next time. Peace.